welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Krista. I'm an international mama of two, a dental hygienist turned midwifery student, and here on my channel I talk about all things motherhood, midwifery, pregnancy, and childbirth education. So if these things are of interest to you, please follow along and get ready to birth and bloom. Hello, welcome back to Birth and Bloom. I'm so happy you're here. I'm really happy to be here today. So what are we talking about? Today we're going to be talking about the preconception period where you're starting to be mindful of, thinking if you want to start a family or not, or maybe if you already have another child, starting to get your wheels turning about expanding your family. So we'll discuss a bit about preconception and also about your menstrual cycle. I was inspired to make this video because I went to an event last weekend here in Ghana. It was a lovely fundraising event held by an acquaintance of mine that runs a Pilates studio. And this fundraiser was Pilates for pads, meaning here in Ghana, there are so many girls and teenage women that do not have the sanitary products that they need when they're on their menstrual period. And this really sparked some interest in me and also helped remind me that so many of us women are unfortunately very disconnected with our bodies, what our bodies are telling us all the time, and just that the basics of female anatomy, about our menstrual cycle, are not where they need to be in many, many cases. And unfortunately, this really just kind of hurts my heart that we were not taught these really basic things at a young age. I know in my sex ed class from middle school and high school did not go into these things in depth. And, I wasn't taught it by the women in my life either. So I hope this kind of helps us get back to basics, helps you feel like you're in control and you have way more power than you think, and just kind of connect the two about being very aware of your menstrual cycle, master your menstrual cycle and what it tells you about your body, your moods, your symptoms, and also about the preconception period, because mastering your menstrual cycle and wanting to become pregnant go hand in hand, because your menstrual cycle needs to be healthy and regular, and you have to be able to detect and kind of decode what's going on in order for you to conceive. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so first I want to talk a little bit about that preconception period. Maybe if you're anything like me, my husband and I had just been married, and I said to myself and to him that I would give us 6 months before I wanted to start trying to have a baby. I was already 30 at that point, and I just was so ready to start a family. My husband and I had been together for quite a few years before we got married, so I didn't feel like I needed a very long honeymoon phase before we started trying to conceive. So right around this time, before we were actually trying, is when I started to become much more mindful of my menstrual cycle. I remember listening to a podcast that just set light bulbs off in my mind. You might be familiar with Jenna Kutcher. I think I'm saying that right. She has a podcast called the Goal Digger podcast, and she had an incredible woman on named Claire. I'm not sure of her last name, but Claire is someone that is teaching women about their menstrual cycles, and everything she talked about just was like, oh my gosh, yes, everything just clicked. And the way she described our menstrual cycle was the seasons. So you can think of your menstrual cycle to have 4 seasons like the year. The main event of our menstrual cycle is not just your period, your menstrual period. That's the menstruation phase of your cycle. And unfortunately, I think a lot of us are just taught that, oh, you get a period, it comes once a month, it's annoying, you're gonna have bad symptoms, but you just deal with it and then move on. That's a misconception. We do not just have a period. That's one phase of the menstrual cycle. That is something that, is important to respect and honor and take care of yourself during that period. quite literally, but also like the menstrual cycle is amazing and we need to learn more about it so you can use it as your superpower to know what's going on hormonally, emotionally, your moods, your energy throughout the entire month. Okay, so let's break that down really quick. The menstrual cycle has 4 phases, like I said. You can think of the menstruation period, which is your actual bleed, which is the period, as your internal winter. What do we do in winter? We get cozy, we take it easy, we chill, we eat nice nourishing foods, we relax. Maybe you have some feelings of just a not as vivacious mood. You may not want to socialize, you want to stay in. Think of the menstrual period, your menstruation, as your internal winter. So what happens next? After your menstrual period, you're going to be moving into spring. What happens in spring? Your energy starts to come back, you start feeling good, your mood is going to improve, you start to want to get outside and socialize. This period from your menstrual period moves into your follicular phase, which is your internal spring. So this is amazing to be aware of because you know that once the completion of your period happens, you're going to be moving into the right direction. Your mood is going to be lifted. You are going to be feeling good. It is your internal spring. Okay, so this is also something you can consider as your pre-ovulation period. So let me touch on a couple notes. I don't want to miss anything too crucial. But like I said, you're going to be feeling more imaginative, spontaneous. It's a good time to be setting goals and plan out the rest of your cycle. So in general, your menstrual cycle is going to be about 28 days. That's on average. So about 25 to 35 days depending. And it is going to be unique to you. But for the purposes of this video, I'm going to talk about the average, which is the 28-day cycle. So you can think of each phase of your menstrual cycle as a week. So that's about the springtime, okay? So you're gonna be feeling good and you're kind of excited for the rest of the month and what's to come. Next, we move into our internal summer. This is the star of the show, guys. The internal summer is your ovulation. So during ovulation or during this internal summer, you're going to be feeling really excited. You're going to be feeling good. You're going to be feeling yourself. You might have a really high libido. And guess what? That's nature's perfect design. Once again, I always talk about this. Nature's perfect design. Of course you're feeling good. Of course you're feeling a little frisky. Of course your partner's looking really amazing to you. Why? Because nature wants us to procreate, and obviously if you have a high libido during the ovulation period, you have a high likelihood of becoming pregnant. So this is the star of the cycle. Yes, we talk about the menstrual period all the time, but ovulation is the star, okay? Why? Because you need to ovulate that beautiful little egg, or more if you're having twins. That beautiful little egg needs to be released in order for it to meet sperm, to conceive, and then implant and become pregnant. So you should just know you're feeling good. And though ovulation itself is one day, you can think of the egg releasing from the ovary and starting to travel down the fallopian tube. Ovulation lasts one day, but there is a smaller window of time where you can actually become pregnant, about 5-ish to 7 days. Semen and sperm can live inside of you for 5 days, so that is why the range of your fertility window is a little bit longer and not just one singular day. But once again, it's something to be aware of. You need to know that you can't just get pregnant your whole cycle. There's a very specific period of time within your menstrual cycle that you can actually conceive. When is that? During your internal summer, during your ovulation period, okay? And something important to note about knowing your body is during ovulation, your cervical mucus is gonna change. What's cervical mucus? Cervical mucus, a lay term would be like cervical discharge, vaginal discharge. Once you become more in tune with your body, you are going to notice that the discharge coming out of you is going to change throughout your cycle. Amazing. Why? Because during ovulation, your cervical mucus is going to become really slippery. It's going to be about the consistency of egg whites. It's gonna be a bit slimy. TMI, I know, but this is what you want to be looking for to signal to your brain, oh, I think I'm ovulating. Now is a good time, if I want to become pregnant, to have sex. That cervical mucus is very welcoming to the semen. It is going to help welcome the semen up through the cervix, into your uterus, into your fallopian tubes, where it is going to meet that beautiful little egg that you had released. So watching your cervical mucus is a key element to understanding your cycle, and also when it comes time to want to conceive, that you know, oh, my cervical mucus is a bit stretchy, it's clear, it's sticky, it is the egg white consistency. That is what you are looking for if you want to become pregnant, because it is a very good indication that yes, you are ovulating. You are ovulating. So generally ovulation is going to take place halfway through your cycle, around day 14. You're going to release an egg from one side, and women that are more in tune to their bodies can even feel which side that they have ovulated from. And back in the day, before I was more mindful and less connected to my body, I remember having moments like mid-cycle, like, oh, like my right side is hurting, like I'm feeling a little crampy, but I know my period's not coming yet. Like that was ovulation. That was my ovary releasing an egg mid-cycle, aka during your ovulation period. And that was the egg releasing to travel through the fallopian tubes onward. So these are things that are really important to know, to get connected within, get connected to your body in that pre-conception period. Okay, so we all know what happens next. After the summer, internal summer, we move into fall. So the internal fall is going to be your luteal phase. And luteal phase is good, where you're gonna start to want to hibernate a little bit more. It's because it's your premenstrual portion of your cycle. You're starting to come back in. You're not going to be as vivacious. You may not want to socialize. You may not want to go out. You may not have as much energy. And generally during this luteal phase is when you're going to start to notice some PMS symptoms. That is your premenstrual syndrome. So what does that look like? Maybe you're super moody. Maybe you're starting to break out. Maybe you're feeling bloated. Maybe you're having some intense cravings. Maybe your boobs are hurting. These are all signs that your period is approaching and you're in that internal fall, that luteal phase. And it's important to know that we are staying nourished, we are getting hydrated, you're respecting your body for what it is. Unlike men, women are just more complex. Our hormones change drastically throughout the whole month. For men, they have a 24-hour cycle of hormones. Women have, in this case, if we're doing average, have a 28-day cycle of hormones. That first portion of the menstrual cycle, it's going to be more estrogen heavy. And then the second half of the menstrual cycle is going to be more progesterone dominant. I'm not going to get into all that. I am not an expert on this stuff. This is me telling you what I've learned thus far in my motherhood journey and in my midwifery journey. And I would strongly encourage you to do your own research and start to really understand and learn your body, because our bodies are talking to us all the time. The symptoms that you're experiencing throughout your entire month are in direct communication with you. And I encourage you to really pay attention to them, because they should be honored and listened to figure out kind of where you're at in your cycle and what you need, okay? So during this luteal phase, the premenstrual phase, you may have lower energy levels, you may be moody, sensitive, anxious, some nervous tension. So just be aware and know that, like, if you're in that inner critic period, like, take a step back and realize, oh, like, okay, yeah, I'm in the luteal phase, I'm in my internal fall, my period is coming. Let's honor that and just listen to our body. Okay, and so then once again, inner fall leads to the beautiful menstruation period, which is our inner winter. And once again, hormone levels are low energy, relax, recalibrate. And generally a menstrual period itself lasts anywhere from 3 to 7 days. Keep in mind that when you are having your bleed, your menstrual period, you should not have extremely painful menstrual cramps. You should not be debilitated. You should not be having really awful periods. I say this because personally, I know what awful periods are like. When I was younger, and clearly my nutrition was not where it needed to be, my hormones were not where they needed to be, I had extremely painful period cramps. And that should have been an indication that things are not quite balanced or right in my body. So the symptoms of my period were really intense. Once again, I'm not an expert in this stuff, but there are, of course, things that we can be doing to balance our hormones, to have things in the right levels, to be nourishing our bodies with really nutrient-dense foods. And generally, when everything is in homeostasis and we're really well nourished, you have the vitamins and minerals and hydration that you need, super intense menstrual cycle symptoms should not be the case, okay? And take that for what it is. And I encourage you once again to do your own research, and let's dig a little deeper of why maybe you're having these intense symptoms. Okay, so that in a nutshell is the menstrual cycle. Your menstrual cycle is not just your menstrual period. It is a full 25 to 35 day cycle, and it is important for you to learn what is normal for you. This all comes back to the preconception period, because if you know to the day my menstrual cycle is 30 days, I know that I ovulate on day 15. You know that when it comes time to start planning your family and thinking about wanting to become pregnant, you know that right around day 15 is an amazing opportunity for you to do it and hopefully conceive. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit more about nourishing yourself, caring for yourself, hydrating, mentally preparing, spiritually preparing. All of these things are going to be essential before you get pregnant. And if you are in a very healthy state before you conceive, odds are in your favor that you are going to have an easier pregnancy, a healthy pregnancy, and a low risk pregnancy. So during that preconception period, a lot of people are going to act as if they're already pregnant. So what does that mean? You're really not taking in a ton of crappy food. You're not eating a ton of processed food. You're not consuming alcohol. You're not consuming cigarettes. You're not smoking weed. You're not doing drugs. You are exercising. You're getting rest. You're getting hydration. You're maintaining a healthy weight. You're tracking your ovulation. These are all things that are important to consider before you're wanting to get pregnant. Another huge one is to realize that in our modern world, we have added toxins to everything. Air, water, personal care products, cleaning products, perfume. Literally everything, unfortunately, in our modern world has a lot of toxins in the product that directly enter your body. Doing just a quick Google search, on average, the average American woman is consuming 168 chemicals in their body daily. It could be a lot more than that. That's just the quick search that I saw. So essentially think about, okay, what kind of toothpaste am I using? What kind of makeup products am I using? What kind of face cleansers and face lotions am I using? What kind of soaps am I using? What kind of shampoo, conditioner, body wash, nail polish, cleaning products, plug-in air fresheners, laundry detergent. Are you cooking on a Teflon nonstick pan? Are you drinking tap water? The list unfortunately goes on and on. Deodorant is a big one. There are things in all of these products that are considered to be endocrine disruptors. What does that mean? Endocrine disruptors are hormone disrupting chemicals. So your endocrine system is your hormonal system within your body. There are so many modern products today that mess with our hormones. Guess what is essential to having normal periods, having low risk healthy pregnancies? Normal hormones. So if you are consuming, not even knowingly, and I was there too, if you are constantly rubbing, some toxic sunscreen on your skin or lotion, or using your special, 8-step skincare routine, I encourage you to flip over the bottles, look at what is in your products, and start doing a deeper dive on what these ingredients are, which are endocrine disrupting hormone chemicals. And let's think about it, okay? So these are things that you want to be very mindful of in that preconception period, because if we clean up our diet, clean up our, whatever we're ingesting, whatever we're consuming, that is going to immensely support a much healthier pregnancy. So yes, an example for me, this was before we were trying to conceive. I was living here in Ghana. I was using a standard aluminum-based deodorant. I was using a Dove product. And I was starting to get some inflamed lymph nodes under my armpit. And I'm like, ooh, I don't like that. And I started to do a little research that it was likely the aluminum kind of blocking up the ducts there. And mind you, it's really healthy to sweat. We don't really want antiperspirants. Sweating is really necessary in the lymphatic system to get toxins out of our body. That's for another day. But that was my first kind of wake-up call while I was living here in Ghana, that I was experiencing some inflamed lymph nodes. That then set me down the path to start investigating some more natural products. So I switched to a natural deodorant that actually worked, and it's not an antiperspirant, so I do still sweat, but it doesn't smell. And that was what kind of set off my trajectory of becoming more naturally minded, to take a deeper look at what I was putting on my body, what I was consuming, and be mindful that if you're putting something on your face or your skin, think of it as your tongue, because it is going to get absorbed into your body just as easily. So just be mindful and start paying attention to what is around you, what is in your home, your immediate environment, and what chemicals you might be coming in contact with on a daily basis there, okay? So that is a huge one, okay? And when you become pregnant, or if you're in that preconception period, I encourage you so much to really start to learn your body, but start to learn about yourself, because when you become pregnant, your entire world is going to change. That's not to scare you, but it's the reality. You go on this deep healing journey that you didn't know you needed. And I just think that's how nature's design is. And you're gonna learn a lot of lessons that you didn't know you needed to learn throughout preconception, pregnancy, birth, and the postpartum period, and just motherhood in general. So I encourage you to just really work on yourself. Make sure you're taking care of yourself. Make sure you're resting. Make sure you're getting nourishing foods. Make sure you're getting delicious, incredible, healthy water. Make sure you're moving your body and do things that feel good for you. Make sure you're managing your stress levels. You could be meditating, practicing yoga, running, swimming, whatever you enjoy to do to nourish your mind, body, and soul are so important during that preconception period. Great. So I think I kind of went on two lengthy chats about things that are clearly I'm very passionate about, meaning knowing your body, learning about your menstrual cycle, being able to identify which phase of your cycle you're in to better clue you in, to understand where you're at, when's a good time to start trying, when it's not the time, and also in that preconception period, all the things we need to do to care for our mind, our body, and our soul and our spirit, because becoming pregnant is going to be a life-changing experience, and I hope that it's as positive as it can possibly be. But once again, like I said, you learn lessons that you didn't need to know. I'm learning every day. I learned hard lessons for my first, second, and third pregnancy, but I'm thankful to have had them, because I know that it's making me a stronger and better mom every lesson I learn. So please, I encourage you to share this video with someone that you know that may be wanting to consider having a baby soon, or even a young lady who is about to start her menstrual period, this is something that I think is really helpful to share with young teens, to let them know that what they're going through, their bodies are changing, but they're normal and they're incredible. And the more you know, the better off you are, because you know that things are normal or not normal. You're not alone. You're not alone. So I will leave it at that. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And also follow me over on YouTube. My handle is Birth and Bloom. I'll put it right here. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.